You are going to present your idea at a team meeting. The room is full of extroverts, including a colleague who regularly claims other people's ideas as their own. You're afraid to speak because you're worried what you will say is not perfect, and if you delay, that particular colleague may say exactly what you had in mind. What do you do, Dina?
So there's two things for me in this. One is preparing the information that you'd like to offer in the meeting, and the other is preparing self. So in the first instance, in terms of preparing information, as best you can, try and get the agenda, the meeting agenda, prior to the meeting even taking place. And having the time to look through the agenda, think about what it is you want to contribute to, and actually preparing the information beforehand. So that's the first part of it, preparing the information. The second part is preparing yourself. Because for me, this is a lot about confidence, and there's two key things here. One is preparing the voices in your head, and we all have them. Some of us have more than others, but that's another story. But we've got voices in our heads, and we've got that voice that says, you can do this, I'm good at my job, I have valuable information to share, and I would like to share it. Now that's one voice. The other voice says, not so sure. Joe Blow always takes my thunder. Maybe the information I have isn't as valuable as I think. I want you to quieten those voices. I really want you to amp up the voices that say, I'm good at this, I've been successful in the past, and the information I have is really valuable and I need to share it. So I want you to ramp up those voices. That then leads me to your body language. And there's a psychologist out there called Amy Cuddy, and she talks about the power pose. Do we need a power pose?
Yes.
No.
Yes, you can do it.
This is Wonder Woman. This is Buzz Lightyear.
Would have been better in lycra and a few more sparkles.
Now, I'm not suggesting you do your power pose in front of an audience of over 100 people. But what I'm suggesting you do is find a safe place for you. Often a cubicle in a toilet works really well because you can close the door and no one sees you. But just before you've got that important meeting to go into, step into the cubicle and do your power pose. Amy Cuddy talks a bit about fake it till you make it. And what the power pose will do is actually, and she's seen this in her research, it will increase your confidence, it will increase your assertiveness. And you know, if nothing else, it'll give you a good giggle. And that'll decrease your cortisol levels, which we know will also put you in a better space walking into the meeting. So a couple of things to consider.
Now can I ask Susie to share some of her thoughts in that?
Yeah.
So much?
Yep, just checking it's on. I absolutely agree with what Dina said. It's all about having and knowing that you're confident walking into a meeting. But there are always situations where you don't have that confidence, or you feel that you don't quite have what it takes to stand up and say what you think you need to say. I wonder if perhaps a different strategy is to write it down and email your idea to the chair of that meeting. Perhaps, if you're in a situation like me, you can CC your supervisor so that people get to see your idea and know that it's your idea. And I quite like that strategy for someone who is lacking confidence. I wonder too if we should relate this back to our poll and how confident do you need to be, not just to stand up or sit up here and give a little speech, but how confident do you need to be in any situation, in any work situation, to have a go? Do you need to be 50% or 75% confident of what you are going to say is going to be correct or well received? And I think that we all have to know that what we're going to say is hopefully going to be well received, and you really need to give it a crack. At what point do you really need to say, I'm gonna give it a go now? And oftentimes, and think about it in a different light, I think that your supervisor or my supervisor would have much more likelihood of having a low number. You know, he'd be 25% confident of getting that promotion or saying the right thing, and so he'd do it every single time, whereas perhaps some of us would be a little bit more sheepish about doing so.
Great. Thanks, Susie, that's great. And Michelle, a few comments for you?
Yeah, I agree. I think making friends with the chairperson, whoever's running that meeting, I think is a masterstroke. And whether you do that before or after, I've certainly employed that idea. And sometimes I'll often say to someone, look, I want to bring up this issue at the meeting, not sure if it's really appropriate. Can you give me advice? I know it's appropriate, but I'm seeding the idea to make sure, you know, it's heard as mine. And another strategy I actually used in a meeting when somebody did this to me when I was much younger in my career, I actually publicly thanked them and said, I really appreciated working with you on that. And it was so wonderful to have such a great collaborative relationship with you to bring that forward to the meeting. Booyah.
Oh, yeah. Did they say you're welcome? Looking forward to working with you next time. Yeah, outstanding.